Indie News Network, collaborative family of independent content creators. Co-hosted normally by me, Indie. I'm founder and editor of Indie Left News and Indie Media Today. I got Reef Breland sitting next to me.
At Kennedy News.
Is Andrew Rivera. I'm the handsome cynic.
Politics is survival.
My name is Jesse Jett.
It's American tradition.
What's up, Space Monkeys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden.
I mostly make art for INN.
BigMadCrab, Joe. Keep up those great videos.
Hey guys, it's Yeti. Coming at you.
Hello, my name is Lucy from Blue Moon Red Wine.
This is Chris Legion.
Keep fighting that good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? I love that so much. Okay, hi y'all. Welcome to the latest edition of the Indie News Network and Antiwar.com mashup. We're here to talk about Israel-Palestine. This was just a collaborative effort to come together and have conversations across the ideological spectrum. I think this is maybe the fourth one. Maybe, I don't know.
Yep.
Tonight we have Reef Breland and Patrick McFarlane. Reef's from INN. Patrick is from Antiwar.com and the Libertarian Institute. And check out both of those organizations. They do fantastic work. Okay, because I am who I am, we're going to talk about Assange really quickly here at the top of the show because that's what I do. As everybody probably is already aware of, the next court dates for Assange in London are February 20th and 21st. This is kind of it. It is basically a request for appeal. If it is denied, he could be extradited as soon as the order is signed. So really within hours is a possibility. If it is accepted, then, which I think is almost certainly going to be the case, I think they very likely want to kick this can as far down the road as they possibly can. And I certainly don't think that the United States wants to extradite him to the United States during an election year. That's just my opinion. However, we do need lots of help raising a ton of noise about this. That is, and as I always said, the only way we prevent him from being extradited and potentially save the future of press freedom is through mass public pressure. The court system is completely corrupted. So there is a piece of bipartisan legislation in the House right now. It is called House Resolution 934. So listen, I'm not a big proponent of phone calls. I think they don't really care what we have to say about anything, but it is one way to put a little bit of pressure on elected officials. And they only take a couple minutes, y'all. I mean, if you call this number, which is the House, the Congress switchboard line, this is the DC offices, you will almost certainly get an answering service. You're not going to get a human being. Very rarely do I ever get a human being when I call the DC offices. So you can call this number 202-224-3121. Ask your House representative to co-sign House Resolution 934 and support the dropping of the charges against Julian Assange and the protection of press freedom. Also, my friend Paula has a fantastic thread out that she spent a lot of time putting together. And here it is. And she has compiled a whole host of different people that you can call. And these are their home office numbers. So the DC offices are great to call, but they have numerous offices. So call them all. Be very annoying. So she also has created these postcards. You can get the template for this from her, and then you can just go print them out. I use the company Avery. It's like a print your own type company. They do like greeting cards and stickers and labels and all that stuff, but you can just go to like Office Max, get the postcard thing, box of postcards that you can print out, and then just get the template from her and print all of these out, and you can send those into both their DC offices and their home offices. Make those phone calls. But she put together this amazing thread. She also has the legislative process so that it explains it for you. She did a great job researching all of that to figure out how this all works. So go check out this thread. She is at Plucille54, Plucille 54. She does a great job. So go check that out.
Put it in the chat now.
Okay, yeah, put it in the chat. Yes, thank you. I guess I could have done that, but you know. Okay, so I wanted to open the show today with the great Claire Daly, because she's fucking amazing. I love her so much. She is incredible. She pulls zero punches, and that's my favorite thing. She does not care at all, and she just... I just love her. So this is only about a little over a minute long. So we're going to play this just to kind of set the mood for tonight.
Despite the catastrophic death toll it has inflicted, Israel is losing on the ground and in the court of public opinion. There's no way that this ends that doesn't leave Israel a pariah state with occupation and apartheid on borrowed time, and they know it. So they're doing everything they can. Desperate acts of aggression to provoke a wider conflict with Lebanon, with Iran, with anybody, to draw in the US, to save them from the consequences of their own actions. And as Yemen shows, Butcher Biden is reporting for duty. With Europe's proud genocide by his side, they are the ones who have enabled the continuation of Israeli terror. Without them, it would already be over. So take note, Butcher Biden. The ancestors of the Ireland that you claim to be from disown you. Keep our country out of your mouth. And as for von der Leyen and genocidal Germany, with your words and deeds supporting Israel in the ICJ, not in our name. The people of Europe stand with Palestine and with South Africa.
God, I love her. Oh, so good. She makes me want to run through a wall. You know what I mean?
She really does.
I need to watch this tomorrow before I go to the gym. It fires me up. Okay, so as she just mentioned there, she was talking about the ICJ, and we want to talk about that a little bit tonight. Obviously, we're a little bit, I mean, it happened some time ago, so there lots of people have done lots of shows. There's been lots of conversations had about what happened there, but we're not going to spend a whole ton of time on it. The one thing I do want to bring up that is ridiculous and also fully expected was the media coverage of it. If you notice that on day one, when South Africa was presenting their case, there was zero mainstream media coverage, none, zero.
Yep.
For day two and Israel's response, everybody covered it, right, guys?
Yeah, certainly.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yep. At least Sky and Fox did, I saw for sure.
Yeah. It's totally expected. But I do just think it's an interesting point. I am curious, Patrick, your impression. I mean, you're an attorney. I'm just curious what your impression was of South Africa's presentation, your impression of the ICJ in general, what you think is going to happen moving forward.
Well, it really just blows my mind because there's two different types of legal systems in the world, just briefly. Well, there's more than that, but the primary ones are the civil law system, which is most of Europe, and the other one is the English common law system. And in the English common law system, we have adversarial parties going against each other. And in the civil law system, it's more of a collaborative approach. But in the ICJ, it's some kind of hybrid version of both. And so, like, if in the United States, you'd be familiar with this concept of burden of proof, like the prosecution has to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, there is no clear burden of proof in the ICJ, so you don't even know how much evidence that you have to prove your case. And to me, it seems like it's a shifting burden of proof, that the more serious the crime, the higher the burden of proof has to be for South Africa to meet. And there's a whole bunch, Israel starts their arguments by saying, well, we're the victims of the Holocaust. Okay, well, can the other side, or can the justices interrupt and say, I'm sorry, what is the relevance of this line of argument? Really? What is it? There is none. What does this have to do with whether or not it's more likely that you're committing genocide or not right now in this current conflict? So at this stage, it's just kind of a preliminary stage. There's offers of proof from both sides that are being presented. And we won't get to really, there will be a bunch of briefing and fact-finding done by the judges later on that we're not necessarily going to be privy to. So when Israel gets up there and says, well, this is Hamas's fault, right? That we're just defending ourselves and Hamas is really responsible for this. You can't necessarily disprove that. Or when they say that a failed Hamas rocket blew up a hospital because the U.S. says so in their contractors, right? And their intelligence services, there's no way to impeach that in real time, which is really not satisfying. But I think that all kind of the misdirectional tactics brought by Israel, I'd like to think that the judges can see through that. But of course, politics gets into everything. Yeah. And you have to think that there's immense pressure on the UN and on these judges not to find Israel at least at this preliminary stage, not to find that Israel's committing a genocide.
Yeah. Reef, what was your impression of the what we saw at the ICJ?
Oh, well, I feel
think
like
that says it all.
One of the big things. Right. Well, I watched both of them cover to cover and did 2 hours of content yesterday. People can go watch. But for me, South Africa's response was break of code and article after article and receipt after receipt. Also, majorly trying to prove intent, right? Which is a big deal, which Israel, of course, said was not the case. Essentially, South Africa called Israel exactly what they were going to do before they did it. And they did exactly what they did. They mentioned Hamas, I think, 139 times during their whole selection. So, conclusions-wise, I think Craig Murray was there and said something along the lines of he thinks they'll try to reach some kind of compromise, whatever that means, right? That, like, Israel continued to try to protect civilians and, that's gonna, and then provisional stuff aside. So we'll see. I think there's 3 swing votes in this right now with Russia, France, and I think China are the swing votes on this. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And not
if
sure where
anybody
France
wants to
lies
go,
on that.
If anybody wants to go and check out Craig Murray's coverage, Craig Murray is fucking awesome. He slept on a sidewalk. He had to show up super early just to try to get a seat in the room. So there's a picture of him on Twitter where he was out sleeping in the cold on a sidewalk, trying to make sure that he was able to get in there. But you can go to craigmurray.org.uk and check out. He has two days of coverage, and also he calls this series "Your Man in the Hague." I forget what he called his Assange series, Your Man and the something, I don't know. But he also covers all of the Assange stuff. He goes and he makes sure that he's in the courtroom and he covers all of that stuff. So he's phenomenal. Go check him out. You can also follow him on Twitter at craigmurray.org. And he says here in this tweet, both days of the Israeli genocide case in The Hague, I was the only journalist in the room. No Zionist blowhard MSM journalist showed, not one. They can't handle being faced with the truth. So the idea that this guy was the only journalist in the room as Israel is being charged with committing a genocide is crazy to me, but there it is. So Craig Murray, go check him out. Go check out his coverage. He is a genuine badass. And if anybody doesn't know who he is, he's a former ambassador to Uzbekistan who turned into a whistleblower, then became a journalist, and has just been doing phenomenal work ever since. So go check him out, show him some support, subscribe to his stuff, donate if you can, all that good stuff. So, okay. Another thing that I wanted to talk about today, and I actually talked about this earlier with my dear friend Kyle Anslone, who Patrick is very familiar with. Hold on, let me find the right thing. Where am I?
In Ohio.
I am. It's fucking cold here, by the way. It's fucking cold here, and it's about to snow again tonight, I guess.
Well, they said snow.
Yeah, it's gonna snow. I guess
milk?
2 to 4 inches. Apparently, we're supposed to get overnight. My kids are desperately hoping for a snow day. We shall see. I would like a snow day. I'm not going to lie, but I'm still going to the gym. Okay, so we talked about this today on my show with Kyle. I actually talked about yesterday to open the show just briefly, but I thought that this was super interesting. I myself tweeted out yesterday, I think, maybe the day before. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I have been inundated recently, and it's been since October 7th. I think that there's been a pretty significant amount of Zionist propaganda on Twitter. But I would say in the past week, it's been insane. Like, it has been insane. It is like all over my timeline. It is constant. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I tweeted out, hey, Is it just me? Like, am I like in some weird algorithm where I'm being targeted for this stuff? No, it's not just me. Lots of people are also seeing this thing. And so Kyle actually responded to that tweet with this. And he was like, hey, I think this is why. So Israel buys tech for mass influence operations. So essentially they are running a bot farm. So this says Israel has acquired systems that are designed to manage online discussions. Tel Aviv hopes the new technology can improve its sagging image, especially in the U.S. While Israel has been firmly backed by President Joe Biden, many of his supporters from 2020 are turning against him in 2024 due to his support for the onslaught in Gaza. After the Hamas attack on southern Israel on October 7th, Israel launched a massive and ruthless military campaign in Gaza that has slaughtered tens of thousands of innocent civilians. Images and videos circulating on various social media platforms documenting the devastation in Gaza have made many Americans increasingly sympathetic to the plight of the Palestinians and against providing future arms to Israel. So here we go. In response, Tel Aviv has acquired a program to help manage its online reputation. Quote, Israel has responded to its clear loss to Hamas on the digital battlefield by making its first ever purchase of a technological system capable of conducting mass online influence campaigns, according to numerous sources with knowledge of the matter. The system can, among other things, automatically create content tailored to specific audiences. So they are going to be attempting a major rewrite of history in real time and a massive attempt at controlling the narrative, which they have been known to do. So, Patrick, what's your impression of this?
Well, I'm surprised they're not already doing this, right?
Right?
Are they not behind? Well, I don't know what it is. I mean, there's so many influencers already, and it's so pervasive that like libs of TikTok. I don't know if you saw that she's in Israel right now.
Yeah.
And she's like showing these videos of, oh, this is a storefront that was destroyed. Well, who do you think is behind the camera? I'm sure it's the IDF there.
Yeah.
And all this the whole social, like the anti-social justice warrior stuff, it's just floored me, and I shouldn't have been surprised. But how all of a sudden that like flipped a switch and all of a sudden it became Zionist mouthpieces. All those people who are really big into the anti-social justice warrior scene. So this is just a continuation of that. I mean,
yeah, that's a great point. And I actually brought that up. I think the last time we did this, I think maybe I asked Dave about it. There's so many people on the right who are rightfully freaking out about things like Jeffrey Epstein and the child sex trafficking ring that we know existed and probably still exists. And yet they're offering full-throated and unconditional support to Israel. My friends, who the fuck do you think he worked for?
Right. Yes.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so weird. But yeah, you're right. There's Israel has always been very good at narrative management. They have always had kind of full control over Western media. So they were able to spin whatever they wanted to spin. They would print or say whatever they wanted them to say. But I think, and I've spoken about this many times on my show, I think that with the advent of social media that it's harder for them to do that. People on the ground in Gaza can now in real time expose what's actually happening. And I think that they are completely incapable of dealing with reality. Like they don't know how to refute reality. And so I think this is kind of their desperate attempt. Reef, what do you think about it? It's crazy, right?
Definitely crazy. I think you've seen definitely an uptick in pro-Israel accounts that are definitely being paid.
Yeah.
Places like Vicegrad 24, right? Alan McLeod did a whole expose on them. Which is being pushed, that gets recommended to me. Like, no, no, I do not want Israel state propaganda. Thank you. Also, Twitter has recently changed some of its algorithming, for lack of a better word, so that the more you look at a tweet, the more it will show you tweets like it.
Yeah.
Right? Used to not be that way. Now it's like the longer you look at something, you leave it up, whatever. You're going to have to like refresh your algorithm to fix that. Right. And like go retweet a bunch of cat videos should fix it. But it is the more you engage classically, the more it's going to show you that too. So,
unfortunately,
but they're clearly losing this.
Oh,
I think I remember something along the lines of when Free Palestine versus Free Israel was going, Palestine was whooping their butts online. So
Well, in
You
the
know,
streets
they're
too. I mean,
worried
you
about it.
see millions of people in the streets in support of Palestine, and they have to pay people $250 to go to pro-Israel rallies. It is this isn't even close. And I think that it's very frustrating because to me, I think that if public opinion meant literally anything, it wouldn't be happening. But because we are ruled by psychopaths who do not give a shit what we have to say about anything, that's how it's allowed to continue. So that's very frustrating. But
well, it's been an extension of Ukraine and the NATO bots and that sort of stuff. You know, they learned
like
a lot of the propaganda from that.
A lot of those, I think, were just repurposed. They went from being Ukraine bots to just, okay, we're moving on to Israel now. Can you start doing this instead? I really think that's what happened. Okay, so let's see. What do we want to do next? Let's talk about, okay, we already did that. Sorry, I'm a little unorganized today. All right, let's talk about
Misty unorganized.
I know it's shocking. No. Listen, to be fair, for my own show, I'm very organized.
Very together, right?
I'm very ready to go. Generally speaking, it depends on the guest. Like if I have somebody like I don't know, like an Assange person on, I don't have to organize. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can do that. You can wake me up at 3:00 in the morning and be like, Assange, go. And I'm ready. Like I'm good.
As I'm sure Misty is aware, it's called overcompensating. You know, but whatever. I feel you. I'm there too. I'm that same thing.
Yeah. But like say I had Kyle on, and when Kyle comes, I have to be organized. I have to go through his articles and I have to get them into categories. This is for Israel. This is for Ukraine. This is for North Korea. This is for, you know what I mean? I have to get everything organized. I have to figure out the flow of the show. So yeah, I have to be, there are certain guests I have to be more organized.
The South Korean thing. Did you see that? The guy being gagged and dragged out.
Oh yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Let's not get distracted though, Reef.
Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna get distracted
on it.
Well, okay. I was just gonna say it's difficult to run a show. I mean, it's difficult.
It is.
Anyways, yeah.
No, I mean, like, I'm not like, oh, woe is me. It's first world problems.
Oh, right.
But it's not easy. Like booking it, researching for it, being organized for it, trying to keep your shit together, performing. Like it is a performance every day. You have to be on. You have to be like ready and entertaining and engaging and. It's not all that easy. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to talk a little bit about Yemen because that situation is certainly escalating. As I talked to Kyle about today, I think there have now been 5, unless there's been more since I talked to Kyle a couple hours ago. There's been 5 U.S. strikes on Yemen. And what I thought was super interesting and that Kyle and I talked about this today, Joe Biden was asked earlier today about, oh, son of a bitch. Hold on, wrong button. Joe Biden was asked about these strikes and he gave a very interesting answer. Such an asshole. All right, here we go. This is your president, Joe Biden.
Are the airstrikes in Yemen working?
Okay, so they said, are the airstrikes on Yemen working? It's a little hard to hear there.
Well, when you say working, are they stopping the Houthis? No. Are they going to continue? Yes.
So what he said was, when you say, are they working? Are they stopping the Houthis? No. Are they going to continue? Yes. You bet your ass they are. So that's your president of the United States talking about bombing Yemen, who, by the way, has done nothing to us, has not attacked us on any level. Fuck that guy. What do you think about that, Patrick?
Well, it makes you wonder what the end game is. What is the point? I mean, It shows the cards. What is the point of it, right? Because they're saying, oh, well, we have to protect international shipping. I mean, I've heard, Hawks say that. But, I mean, if the end game is protecting international shipping, well, then let's stop supporting Israel in its genocide campaign because that's why the Houthis are hitting shipping lanes, right? Yeah. That's the whole point of it. So it's just... Biden has said interesting things lately. The DPP candidate won the election in Taiwan, the presidential election. And the new president-elect is very pro-independence. And when asked about it, Biden said, well, we don't support independence, which I think is a huge step. I mean, considering that he said we were going to defend Taiwan like 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah.
And that's not what our policy is officially. So I don't know. It's infuriating, but not surprising that we just keep supporting this.
I know. And it's even Saudi Arabia is telling us to back off, which is crazy. So yeah, and I think Reef, before I get your take on that, I just wanted to point out this Kyle wrote a really excellent article about the response from Yemen. It's from January 12th. Hey, that was my birthday. But this is a great article from Kyle where he talks about Yemen's response to it. And it's Yemen issues defiant response to US and UK strikes at antiwar.com. Please go check out antiwar.com. They do great work. I know I already said that. Sorry. Okay, so this is the part that I thought was interesting. Muhammad Ali al-Houthi, a member of the Houthi Supreme Political Council, as reported in Reuters, said, quote, "We did not attack the shores of America, nor did we move in the American islands, nor did we attack them. Your strikes on our country are terrorism. They are terrorists, and they are amazing at lying to the people of the world. But the awareness of the Yemeni people is a different awareness. Do you, Yemeni, think that America is defending itself, or is it a terrorist?" And very clearly, our attacks on Yemen are terrorism. There's no question about it. Reef, what do you think?
No, I'm with them. You know, so I'm surprised Biden can even pronounce the word Yemen, but otherwise, right. I think wasn't that Blinken that said that this is about international like shipping lanes. So that's what they care about. The commerce, I think, is the thing he said. But yeah, I mean, it's par for the course. So, and to act like this is one group too, that this is just the Houthis. Again, it's like saying just Hamas is the problem when there's 40 other resistance groups in that area doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I mean, that big stick we're supposed to be carrying around ain't that big anymore. So,
no,
you know, people are figuring out that you hit them with the stick enough times, someone's gonna have to grab the stick at some point. So, you know, it's national fuck around and find out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And something else that Kyle and I talked about today too was this exposes the glaring hypocrisy. I mean, listen, the hypocrisy of the United States and of the West in general has been on full display for a very long time for anybody who's paying attention. But I think that this situation, you know, we are pissed because Yemen is essentially performing a blockade on Israel, and yet. What do we do to countries all around the globe? We sanction them. We put blockades on them. So it's fine when we do it. But when Yemen does it, suddenly it's an act of terror. We've now redesignated the Houthis as a terrorist organization, which is so stupid. And again, I've been saying this for a very long time. The United States of America is the world's largest terrorist organization, period. There is nobody else that even comes close to the level of terror that we put across the globe. It is astonishing to me that we have been able to get away with it for this long without the fuck around and find out effect coming back on us. So, yeah, I think that, and honestly, I had Scott Horton also from Antiwar.com and the Libertarian Institute. Go get his books; they're phenomenal. But I had him on a few weeks ago when Yemen first initially stepped forward to defend Gaza, and he was like, "I wish they would not do this." Because Yemen has already, if you know anything about Yemen, they've already been dealing with their own stuff for a very long time. They are a very impoverished nation. They are a very war-torn nation. And they are inviting the wrath of the West upon them. And we're seeing that now play out. I mean, there's now been the 5 U.S. strikes, U.S. and UK strikes. Don't forget the UK. But yeah, it's certainly interesting to see that Yemen, of all countries, is the one standing up to fight for Gaza.
It's not necessarily the Houthis that are going to feel the pain from this either.
Right.
It's the civilians.
Yeah.
But it's, if anything, we've seen, you know, the U.S. Saudi-led coalition's war on Yemen for the last 8 or 9 years. I think the people who are there, the young men who grew up being teenagers, lived through that hell.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, they've shown their resilience, and maybe we should have seen that deterrence wouldn't work against them, because they said, well, we've already seen the worst that you can bring to us. You know, we might have, we've been through that and come through the other side. So I don't know if you have people like that have already seen the hell and they're still willing to kick us.
Yeah.
So
well, it's not like we've been winning those exchanges necessarily either.
Right.
Like in Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan.
Right. Yeah.
Like, no, we haven't been winning.
How many times Vietnam, Korea? Like, how many times are we gonna figure out that being
Ukraine.
the worst police doesn't right? But we don't win.
No.
So,
I don't think our goal is ever to win. Our goal, the goal is not a successful war. The goal is an endless war. Julian Assange, and he was right, and he said that ages ago. Like, I think that quote is from 2014, and he was talking about Afghanistan, or maybe it was 2011. He was talking about Afghanistan. We should have listened to him, y'all. We should have listened to him a long time ago. But yeah, I just think that it's it's a little frustrating for me that that other states are not doing more. I recognize the need to be cautious, and they are. I think that there is an attempt to bait the United States into becoming more heavily engaged here. And I think that is what they're trying to avoid. I think that's I think Nasrallah gave a speech, and I think that was part of what he was trying to get across, that there needs to be some what's the word I'm looking for? Some restraint shown in how they respond. But it's difficult for me to watch thousands of Palestinian children be slaughtered and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. You know what I mean? That's a very frustrating thing. Okay, so also today, was this today? Yeah, today, Hotspot, our friend Nico House over there at Hotspot. Other people have tweeted this out, but I'm just giving it to Hotspot because I love Nico House. So they tweeted out this video of Benjamin Netanyahu. This guy's an epic level douche canoe. I hate this guy with every fiber of my being. He is such a scumbag, genocidal maniac. I can't express to you enough how deeply I despise this man. So I thought this was interesting. I'm going to play the clip, and then Dave DeCamp has a great article covering this. So here you go. You ready for this psychopath? Here we go.
For 30 years, I am very consistent, and I'm saying something very simple. This conflict is not on the lack of a state of Palestinian, but the existence of a state, the Jewish state. Every area that we evacuate, we receive terrible terror against that. It happened in South Lebanon, in Gaza, and also Judea and Samaria, which we did it. And therefore, I clarify that in any other arrangement, in the future, the state of Israel have to control on the entire area from the river to the sea. This is what happens when you have sovereignty. This truth I say to our American friends. And I also stopped the attempt to impose us a reality that will jeopardize us. A prime minister in Israel has to be able to say no, even to the best of friends. To say no when you need to, and to say yes when you can.
The motherfucker just called for genocide. Like straight up, just called for genocide. So let me pull up Dave's article here so we can kind of get into the specifics. Dave DeCamp, also antiwar.com. I love Dave. Dave. He also hosts Antiwar News over there as well, 5 days a week. He does a great job. So Netanyahu tells the U.S. there will be no Palestinian state in any post-war scenario. Now, this is interesting because I keep being told by people that come on, Israel's not calling for that. They always have. They've never been shy about their intentions. So, as Dave says, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Thursday that he has told the U.S. there will be no Palestinian state in any post-war scenario, and that Israel must control all of the territory from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, which includes the West Bank and Gaza. Notice, from the river to the sea. I've been told that that's genocidal speak, Patrick. Isn't that what I've been told?
Yeah, well, we were saying before the show went on that it's when Zionists decry people who support Palestine, saying from the river to the sea. It's really, what is that? It's not reverse psychology, is it? It's projection.
Yeah.
Because what they say, oh, well, when you say that as a supporter of Palestine, it means you support genocide. When really, when they, in their mind, they have genocide in their mind when they're projecting their ideas. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Didn't Netanyahu say after South Africa presented its case, didn't he say, no one will stop us in our mission, not even the Hague?
Yeah.
Did he not say that?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
That just sounds like something that you wouldn't want attributed to you. I don't know about you guys.
Right.
In any situation that you're in, whether you're innocent or not, you probably don't want to be on record saying that.
No, I feel like he really genuinely believes that he's above everything. He's above the law, that he's protected by the West, that there's going to be no accountability. I really think that he believes that. And I don't know that he's necessarily wrong to think that. He is very clearly being protected by the West. Now, to be fair, Netanyahu is in trouble in his own country. We don't get a lot of coverage about that here in the United States. You're not going to hear a lot about that. There's a lot of unrest in Israel, not necessarily because they disagree with the genocide in Gaza. I think that, unfortunately, a vast majority of Israeli citizens have been brainwashed to think that Gazans are less than, Palestinians are less than, and all of that stuff. But he, prior to October 7th, he was in a world of trouble. There was a corruption case against him. He had the judicial issue that was going on, and he was in legitimate trouble. And so I think, very cynically, I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if October 7th was allowed to happen in order to, I mean, we all know that if you're a president, a prime minister, a world leader of any kind, and you are in trouble, if your poll numbers are dropping, what's something that you can do to save yourself? Start a war. And so I'm not, he benefits greatly from this continuing for as long as humanly possible. Because as soon as this ends, I think it's very likely he is out. There's no question. I think that if the United States doesn't use him as a scapegoat and a fall guy, his own people will be getting rid of him. I think they're fed up with his shenanigans. So, but Reef, what do you think about Netanyahu and his from the river to the sea?
Well, in the words of my co-host, but let us not forget that this from the Nile to the sea is not even their end goal.
No.
It's from the Nile to the Euphrates. Like that's what they want,
Greater
not just
Israel.
from the river to the sea.
Yeah.
Right. So there's been open calls for this multiple times. I don't know how many times they have to put genocidal intent on camera for everyone to see.
Yeah.
But this is par for the course for the Israeli government. Do I think that he probably let that happen from the stock shorting that happened? Someone knew,
Yeah.
So they had been talking about and planning this for months, and Israel supposedly knew about it, supposedly was warned about it. Not to mention, let's not forget October 7th, which we're about to get to. There's the Hannibal Directive was in effect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's been reported now, confirmed. There's no question. We're going to talk about that
Right.
here in just a little bit, but you're right.
Yep.
The idea, listen, the idea that Israel, which has one of the most sophisticated militaries and some of the most sophisticated surveillance technology on planet Earth, Gaza is one of the most surveilled plots of land on planet Earth. The idea that they didn't know that October 7th was going to happen is absurd to me. It is absurd to me. There's no way that I can make that make sense in my head. And then the response time that it took hours for them to actually respond in any significant way. Come on, y'all. I wasn't born yesterday. Like it is, it's just ridiculous that that there's even a question that they and Egypt warned them you know what I mean, prior to it happening. I think that they obviously knew that this was coming, and I think that they were looking for a reason to commit a genocide, and this was a very convenient reason to do so.
And not that Israel's military isn't a giant paper tiger like ours is right now, but that definitely could have been possible that they overextended themselves into the West Bank and whatever.
I don't think
so. But I expect a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So they definitely can't sustain a full-on.
It's just weird to me that suddenly the cameras on the border to Gaza weren't working, and the guards that were usually there were suddenly gone, and there's just a whole lot of shenanigans going on that I just don't buy it. And just speaking of genocidal intent, just so everybody knows, I have a whole ass thread exposing the genocidal intent that they've been very open about. This is a whole ass thread, y'all. Like just example after example after example. I mean, I could keep scrolling forever. This goes on forever. And this is not even all of them. This is just the ones that I happen to, in my ADHD hyperfixation one night, put together. So here we go. I mean, this is tons of them. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, the idea that anybody is, hey, there's Reef. The idea that anybody is clutching their pearls over the use of the term genocide is absurd. It's a genocide. They're very open about it. it's offensive to my sensibilities that anybody is pretending as if that's not what it is. Of course it is. Just stop. Okay, let's talk about Brad's article or thread, I guess. So Brad Pierce, if you guys don't know who he is, you should go check him out. He's been on my show a couple times now. He actually did a really great expose on Zaka. Reef, I keep hearing myself. What is that?
Oh, here. There you go. Is that better?
I hate hearing myself. It drives me crazy.
I just realized that was my audio going through the camera the whole time? Is it a lot better now?
I don't know.
Can you hear me coughing?
It might be.
Yeah, I do think you do sound a little bit better.
Once.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's okay. But just an aside on Brad, he has been on my show. He did an amazing, super in-depth, very long write-up on Zaka. If you don't know who Zaka is, it's the Zaka rescue group. Just think white helmets, only Israel. That's essentially what they are. They're a rescue group that is incredibly corrupt, very shady, nefarious ties, sexual crimes. Like it's a whole thing. And a lot of the October 7th evidence is coming from Zaka. A lot of the sources that they're using for that kind of stuff is coming from Zaka. So in addition to us talking about this, go check out Brad's expose on Zaka. It is really, really good. It's very long, but it's a very good read. Okay, so Brad put together this thread. It's from the Ynet News 7 days report of the first hours of Black Saturday. Now, there's been a lot of coverage of October 7th. Gray Zone has done a lot of fantastic work. Electronic Intifada has done some great work. Who else? Who am I forgetting? There was somebody else that did shit.
Haaretz?
Maybe. Oh, yeah, Haaretz is Haaretz. Yeah. No, there's somebody else, indie media. What was it? Mondo? What? Somebody.
Vanessa
I don't remember.
and Eva.
Well, yeah, but Vanessa and
Probably
Eva always do great stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're not following Vanessa Beeley and Eva Bartlett, what are you doing with your life? Okay, so as Brad notes here, the article that he gathered this from is published in Hebrew. He does not read or speak Hebrew, so he used an auto translate. Obviously, there's going to be some imperfections in that sort of a situation. But so we'll just skip down here to where it starts with the findings. So overnight on the 6th and 7th, there were signs something was wrong. By 4 a.m., high-level officers were in the operations room, and a specialized team had been dispatched to the border to investigate a variety of suspicious activities. So 4 a.m., they knew something was wrong. Though many people were in the command center, the decision wasn't made to call the prime minister until just before 6:30 a.m. and the missile sirens began going off while they were on the phone with Netanyahu, waking up to perhaps the worst day of his life. In the control room, the pit, as they call it, of course they do, was an absolute madhouse. A combination of factors, including shock and horror, but more importantly, Hamas attacking communications created a catastrophe. Trying to see if there's anything like super significant here. Basically, this whole thread, you can go and check it out for yourself if you would like. I don't know if we need to read through the whole thing, but it just, again, exposes the reality of October 7th, that what we were told is certainly not what actually happened. There's, I don't know, there's just, there's so much, obviously, there's so much that I don't know that we'll ever know the whole story, but certainly what we were told is not what happened. I mean, Patrick, what do you think about October 7th?
Yeah, I think it's insane. I mean, one of the things here at 8 o'clock, there was a free fire order that was given.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
And all the targeting systems were out. So some of the drone operators, the UAV operators, were calling their friends for on the ground targeting info. So it's insane to me. And there was a comment earlier. I wanted to chime in and say something about how the IDF being a paper tiger, the idea that, you know, you could have a conscripted military, which I'm against the draft just on principle as a libertarian. But moreover, you have these, I don't know, silver spooned, like upper middle class Israeli, civilians that are being drafted. And then they're supposed to fight people who grew up in Gaza, you know, or in occupied Palestine, living amongst rubble and doing things like that. I mean, qualitatively, you're just going to get two different types of soldiers from those stock. You know, someone who's voluntarily fighting because their family was blown to bits and there's no one left. they're going to fight a lot harder from a silver spooned like conscript, someone, somebody on TikTok or something like that. So it's incredible. And I don't understand how there aren't more Israelis that are speaking up, even if you are Zionist, speaking up at least to be like, hey, I'm a Zionist, but this is a catastrophe. Like, not just the incompetence of October 7th, but everything that we've been doing since then. What is the end game here? Say we succeed in our goal. Should that come at the cost at international disdain? What happens after? It's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Hey, really quickly, Hardlands Media is in the chat and they got their fucking channel back. Let's go. Nice. Let's go. Thank you to everybody who made noise about that on social media and kept tagging YouTube and YouTube support. It's insane that they had their channel taken down over some bullshit like that. So I'm very excited Hardlands is back, but still go follow them on Rumble because fuck YouTube. Okay, Reef, what do you think about October 7th? Oh, you know what? By the way, before we do that, before I get your take on that, I meant to share this Caitlin Johnstone tweet after we talked about Biden's comment on Yemen and then Netanyahu's comment, because I fucking love Caitlin Johnstone. Sure. You guys know that. And she tweeted this out and she always makes me laugh. And she's always great at saying what I'm thinking in a much better way than I could say it. But she said, Netanyahu said he opposes Palestinian statehood and that Israel must control everything from the river to the sea. While Biden said the repeated bombing of Yemen isn't deterring Hezbollah, but they're going to keep bombing anyway. An unusually honest day for empire managers. And she's right.
Yeah.
It is an unusually honest day. I mean, at least they're being, I don't know, at least they're being honest, but also I think we should be terrified of the idea that they're so comfortable being honest about their bullshit. But okay, Reef, what do you think about what Brad exposed here with this thread?
Well, I also have stuff from Arnaud Bertrand that has that the order was to stop at all costs any attempt by Hamas terrorists to return to Gaza, right? And that's partially the messaging they've used. So, essentially that's the Hannibal Directive in different words. Yeah. So, I think it was something along the lines of 70 vehicles that were left in the area between the OTOF settlements and the Gaza Strip that we have no idea who the owners were, or we know who burned them, and left them in rubble. It was IDF combat helicopter and anti-tank missiles. So, we know what did that. So, just like we know who bombed those hospitals, and it wasn't Hamas. Just like we know it, go through the list. So, essentially, you're seeing everyone call out their lies, and they're playing the victim because of it. So, I don't know how we change that, but.
The victim thing is so disgusting. You're committing a genocide and saying,
right wingers are supposed to hate victimhood culture too.
Right?
Isn't that?
Yes.
Right? Oh, it's so
Meanwhile,
frustrating.
they're trying to call some of the biggest feminists into Israel right now to support Israeli women.
Yeah.
And they're having to turn that down because you're bombing mothers during labor. You lose. Good day, sir. That's pretty much, I don't know how you.
Some jackhole tweeted there was a Palestinian protest that went past a hospital and they were chanting outside the hospital, and some jackhole was like, "Oh, look, they're attacking this hospital." Motherfuckers, Israel's literally bombing hospitals into oblivion. Bombing them, not shouting chants from the street, actually bombing hospitals filled with people.
Yeah, direct hits on the ICU.
I really don't want to hear your bullshit. I do not care. You're not the fucking victim. Shut the entire... I'm so sick of that shit. I am so sick of that shit. It is driving me absolutely insane. I actually tweeted about it the other day because I was so pissed off. I'll try to find it because I'm just so sick of this shit. Obviously it was hella shadow banned. It's you can't talk that. You can't say what I said.
Oh my god, the shadow banning.
Yeah, dude,
is crazy right now.
Listen, I've been getting shadow banned for my entire Twitter existence because I tweet a lot about Julian Assange, but it has never been worse. It is so unbelievably bad right now. It has never been worse.
He was telling me yesterday the shadow ban is real. It's everyone I know is shadow banned to Fee.
Oh, yeah, Fee's also been shadow banned for a really long time.
Right, we're all just in the hole.
Yeah.
So it's just
shouting.
like, okay.
Oh, here we go.
I could get retweeted by every one of you, and it would go nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I tweeted. This is my little thread. Because somebody, Sarah, my friend Sarah, go follow her. She's fantastic. She tweeted out this list of Israeli attacks on Palestine and said, "Don't let anyone tell you it started on October 7th." So I tweeted out, October 7th was merely a response to decades of brutalization. Ask yourself what you would be willing to do if you were forced to live in those conditions. If your children were regular targets of Israeli snipers, if your homes were stolen and given to some douche canoes from Jersey, if you were prevented from ever leaving, even to get medical care, if you were prevented from free travel on your own land and forced to go through checkpoints, if they bulldozed your house in olive groves and prevented you from fishing in your own waters, if they put you under a blockade and did studies to determine the minimum caloric intake to sustain life and then only permitted that amount of food to enter, if your family, friends, and neighbors were kidnapped and jailed indefinitely without charge or trial. I could continue to list the various ways Israel has been subjecting Palestinians to some of the most inhumane treatment this world has ever seen. The list is long and disturbing, but I won't tell an oppressed people how they should defend themselves against their oppressor. If it were me and my family, I would do just about anything. I think most of us would. So playing Monday morning quarterback and finger wagging at a people pushed to desperation is not something I'm interested in doing. Israel is the schoolyard bully who pushed his mark too far and is now crying to the teacher after getting punched in the nose. Cry more, punks. You're no victim. And I stand by every single fucking word of that statement. Come for me. I do not care. That is accurate. Period. Fuck Israel.
It is very tiring to feel like you have to condition every statement and start it by saying, well, what Hamas did on October 7th
was terrible, blah,
evil,
blah, blah,
terrible,
blah.
but yeah.
No, I won't do it. I will not do it. I am anti-war in general. I'm anti-violence in general. I don't like when civilians are impacted by that kind of stuff ever. I think it's awful. But I'm not going to tell Hamas how the fuck they should fight back against their oppressor ever. I want any oppressed people. I'm not going to finger wag at people who have been held in an open air concentration camp for years. Generations have lived under these conditions. And I'm going to sit here in my comfortable house in Ohio and be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's not nice. Fuck you. No. I mean, listen, again, put yourself in their shoes. If it were me, if that was me, you're goddamn right I'd fight back. Are you joking? Of course I would. Yes.
Yeah.
If my kids were living in those conditions, yes. Yes, I would be fighting back. 100%. And everything Israel has done since October 7th, that's not defeating Hamas. That's recruiting for Hamas. That's what you're doing. You're recruiting.
They admitted they haven't killed any like leaders of Hamas, like zero. None.
Well, they got the one.
Like they have not gotten.
They got the one.
The one in Lebanon, right?
Yeah, the one in Lebanon. He was like the hostage negotiator type guy. Yeah, he was a negotiator. He was kind of
so like, but like, I don't know, 20,000 pounds of bombs carpet bombed across Gaza. You'd think you'd get a couple, you know, like, but clearly, and on the like topic of whether they kill hospitals or not, let's do this and then this. This guy,
you don't have audio. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
For nearly 15 years.
Hello, who are you and why are you here?
Nick Maynard, I'm a surgeon in Oxford and I've been going to Gaza for nearly 15 years and I've just come out of Gaza.
The ICJ on Friday, the Israeli Defense Legal Team, said they're doing everything they can to safeguard hospitals in Gaza. Is that your experience?
Not at all. I saw the Israeli Defense Force destroy a hospital in 2014, the Al Wafa hospital. I visited just after that, having visited it before, and it was destroyed and reduced to rubble. On this occasion, in Al Aqsa Hospital, a week ago, I was in the hospital when an Israeli missile hit the intensive care unit.
So
the intensive care unit.
Any questions? Like, you know, so yeah.
And as he just said,
like,
2014, this is not new. This is not since October 7th. We're responding to this brutal Hamas attack. They've been doing this for decades. They've been killing civilians. They've been shooting. They've been sniping children, taking out limbs. They've been killing medics and journalists and bulldozing houses and olive groves and I mean,
press.
We just read my thread.
So
That's
many
just
press.
a little. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, Israel is not a victim. And the idea that anybody is going along with that. Oh, God, it makes me angry.
They have 9-year-old journalists in Gaza. 9 years old.
Yeah.
How do you sleep at night?
Yeah.
Knowing that that's what's happening. I don't get it. So,
yeah, and we need to also, Kyle and I talked about this today. We need to also, I understand that it's, and obviously it's important to focus on the Israeli bombing campaign. That's obviously thousands of people are being murdered by that. But Palestine is now facing really horrific circumstances. There is a famine now brewing. There is disease. There's no clean water. They bombed the solar system for one of the water treatment systems.
Desalination.
So the thousands of people that have died, that's not even the death toll is nowhere near accurate, because thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people are going to die from not being able to get proper medical treatment after being wounded. They have no medicine, they have no anesthesia. They're doing amputations on hospital floors with no anesthesia, on kids sometimes too.
Their own kids.
Yeah. There was a doctor who his son died as he was trying to amputate, I think, his leg, and he died from pain. From literally pain, as his father was attempting to perform surgery on him. Like, that's the situation. And again, we need to point out that I'm going to say it very loudly, half of the population of Gaza are children, kids, babies. I just saw a picture today of a 4-month-old who was born at the start of this situation, or I forget, she was, I guess, 100 days old, 102 days old, 104 days old, whatever it is, was born at the beginning of this situation and has now died, and her body is just laying there because there's nobody left in her family to come and claim her body. Everybody's gone. I mean, Wael al-Dawood, they killed almost his entire fucking family. I mean, that's what's happening. They're wiping out entire families in Palestine. And as Reef said, they're not getting anybody from Hamas. They're not getting anybody. It's a genocide.
Child, no surviving family. That's the new acronym.
Yeah. Well, that's the terrible part about, like, the opening arguments for this genocide case, because you have these assertions and offers of proof, but again, there's no debunking or anything like that. And when the
blurry photos with red circles,
right? Well, when the South African team comes forward and says that 70% of the killed are women and children, and and then Israel comes forward and says it's part of warfare and civilians die. Well, how can't we make them have a ratio, at least a claimed ratio, of how many dead civilians to any Hamas militant that they confirm? I mean, and then we're playing this game where it's like, okay, well, how many dead civilians are they allowed for one Hamas militant? You know what I mean? It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm going to let you guys go because I don't want to take too much of your time, but I just want to also point everybody to the PBD podcast with Bassem Youssef. He absolutely annihilated these douche canoes. Adam, the guy on there, I don't watch that show, so I don't fucking know anything about them. But Adam, I don't even know if this is the right clip because I wasn't able to listen to it before this, but he tried to
Israel is a client state. It's taking all of its money in the States. It has actually sucked America dry with all of the money that is taking away from him, and yet it's not doing anything.
So why do you think Biden administration is not telling them to stop?
Because they are fucking cowards. Because it seems that every 4 years, every American president go and kiss the hand and bend the knees and go to AIPAC to make them sure that Israel is much more important in their foreign policy than America itself. And the only one who did not do it was Bernie Sanders, the only Jewish American candidate who refuses to go to AIPAC. And you cannot call that anti-Semitic, right?
But Bernie Sanders is a bitch. Sorry.
Yes, he is.
I like Bassem, but Bernie Sanders is a bitch. He's a coward. He has been very wishy-washy. I don't think this is the clip that I wanted, but there's a part of this where Adam tries to say, oh, well, we've seen videos of Hamas brutally raping women and cutting off their breasts and blah. Like, we've seen the videos. No, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
They don't exist. Nobody has seen them. And it's just so unbelievable that douche canoe can get on his show and pretend as if he's seen those things. But Basim, absolutely, I cannot recommend it. I've only seen clips. I haven't seen the full interview yet. I'm not sure I can even stomach the whole interview because those guys are so fucking annoying. But it
murdered him
watching
too,
him
so.
just absolutely annihilate them point after point after point is a beautiful thing. It's a
the Israeli attorneys did the same thing. They said, well, we're not showing it in open court, but we have all this terrible footage that
they weren't allowed
in private.
I heard they weren't allowed.
Yeah. Well, I don't
think
they
couldn't play the October 7th stuff either.
I don't think they would be allowed in the open hearing, but they say, I think it's for PR purposes. They say, oh, well, we've submitted this package for your consideration.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, no one watching across the world can see it.
Yeah, I think the court did deny them the ability to play it because they said that it wasn't Hamas on trial, it was them.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. So, oh wait, here it is. Is this it?
Yeah, I want to see that clip from the Patrick Bet David show.
I think this is it.
If you have it.
I think I do. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. Where am I?
Well, while you do that, I have a little mini rant.
Hold on. Here it is.
Regarding Assange.
The 2.1 million. It's 3x. That ain't genocide to me. Now, do 20,000 people, 30,000 people needlessly killed during this bullshit war that was started by Hamas? Is that horrible? 1,000,000%. And any Jew or any Israeli.
Give me that number again. 600,000 to what?
645,000 to 2.1 million.
From what to from when to where?
This is in 1990 to 2022.
Do you know why they increased?
Because they're having babies like crazy.
No.
Oh no! I don't
you see, this is how like when you watch that.
This is when he's talking about the increase in Palestinian population. Hold on, I'll find it. I will find it. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is long.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that one's 15 minutes. I don't know if this is like keyed up to that part. I just want that fucking clip. Come on.
Yeah. You retweet it, maybe?
Huh?
You retweet it, or?
No, I just retweeted Nico's video covering it.
Gotcha.
Hold on, I can find it. Reef, talk for a second, and I'll find it.
Yes, ma'am. So there's a thing going around, and I see a lot of people, especially ones running for office, acting like when their first day in office is here, that they will pardon Assange. Why pardon him when you can have the DOJ drop the charges? Pardoning him would require conviction first. Right? Am I the only one? I know I'm not, but it seems like it sometimes where it's like, why do you not get how precedent works?
I would like to drop the charges and then also give a preemptive pardon so that no other president can come back on it.
Sure. Yes, that sure. But drop the charges first. Drop the charges means you would would you even have to pardon him after that? If the charges were, I guess, because statute of limitations, technically no trial is taking place, right? So,
are there charges
they
filed?
could retrial.
The charge there's an indictment, yes.
Oh, there is an indictment. Okay, so
yeah, there's an indictment in the United States. He's facing 17 charges under the Espionage Act and 1 charge of computer intrusion.
And I should know more about this case. I apologize, but
no, it's okay.
If there is an indictment that's been has there been a grand jury hearing?
I'm sorry, what?
There's been a grand jury hearing, right? If there's an indictment, there's been a grand jury.
Yes.
And so the DA, I don't know how, at least at the state level, the DA, the district attorney, has a lot of discretion as to whether or not they want, what cases they want to bring and what they can't. I would assume that the DOJ could ask for the charges to be dismissed with prejudice. And that would bar it, but at least a court is not allowed to unilaterally do that. But I guess if the argument is the president is the head of the executive branch and the federal prosecutors, the DOJ is an executive agency, isn't it? So I would think, you would have to, you could.
Okay, I think I have.
You can do that.
A good clip.
But the precedent is important. Right?
Yeah. the precedent's already been set. The fact that there's even an indictment against a journalist for doing journalism is bad.
Yes.
That's very, very bad. That's a horrible precedent that's been set already. And the idea he could potentially, and also here you're going to get me on a rant, but also the idea that anybody's even considering extraditing this guy to a country that was revealed to be plotting to murder him is fucking insane. They were playing at the highest levels of the Trump administration. There were plots being developed to assassinate this guy while he was in the Ecuadorian embassy, and the UK is going to extradite him to that country. Fuck off. That makes no sense. Just fuck off. So stupid. Okay, let's see if this is the right clip. I'm sorry. See, you got me fired up now. Okay, here we go.
I saw.
That's one of the most naive comments I've ever heard. We've seen videos, countless videos of them gang raping women and then blowing their head off while they chop off one of their breasts. We've seen these videos.
No,
They've captured. Well, are you fucking crazy? Of course, we've seen these videos.
Seen it.
We've seen dead bodies littered all over kibbutzes.
You have read about it.
Okay,
and I can
go watch the video. You're choosing this is selective ignorance.
There you go. We've seen countless videos.
Projection, my name is Israel again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen any videos of that.
I have seen zero videos of any of it. None of it. I've seen zero videos of women and listen, people be like, oh, I can't believe that you're asking for evidence. You're goddamn right. I'm asking for evidence.
Right.
Israel is known for lying. Are you joking? Yeah, we're just going to believe all women. Go fuck yourself with your believe all women. I don't believe all women. I trust and then verify. That's what I do. And I certainly don't believe Israel, who is known for lying, not just since October 7th, but for decades. They're known for lying.
Yes.
They're known for making shit up.
Staging
They're known
photos.
for spinning the narrative. I have no time.
Flags.
I have seen a couple videos of like a car getting shot up by Hamas and then someone chasing someone else across the parking lot.
Yep.
And allegedly a shot.
Yep.
But I've seen 2 of those, but I've seen countless videos of children under rubble, children missing limbs, and children with and so,
I mean, how many videos have we seen of Israel attacking civilian infrastructure and blowing up apartment blocks, or universities, or hospitals, or refugee camps, or whatever? And listen, did Hamas kill people on October 7th? Of course they did. There's no question about it. Did Israel probably kill more than Hamas did under the Hannibal Directive? I would be willing to bet. All of those cars that he's talking about that we saw burned out, I'm pretty sure that came from Israeli fire, not Hamas. Hamas doesn't have the kind of weapons to do that kind of damage, period.
Innocent civilian nonsense. Every member of their civilian group is part of the IDF.
Right.
How do you, they're all combatants, so.
And what about having a music festival right next to an open air prison?
Right. A peace and love festival right next to a concentration camp. You gotta be, there's something wrong.
Supposedly, I heard the music festival people are suing Israel for letting that happen.
Yeah, because they weren't protected enough, or there is some lawsuits going on there. Okay. Yeah, of course Hamas killed people. There are zero videos of people being gang raped and then shot in the head and their breasts cut off. You absolute fucking scumbag. You liar. You fucking liar. The idea that he went on there and so vehemently was like, we've seen countless videos. No, you haven't. You've seen zero. You have seen zero videos, my guy. You're a liar. But yeah, there's a bunch of clips of that I am go watch the whole thing if you want. I don't know that I can stomach that guy for that long, but the clips that I've seen of Basim are amazing. He absolutely rips them to shreds. So okay, Reef, what do you have coming up?
Other than to follow INN, you can hit the subscribe button right down there. But I think next Wednesday pretty much is our next thing. So INN News. So I'm sure I'm missing a ton. I think Jesse's going on your show Friday.
Tomorrow.
So that should be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, just holding it down. So follow me on Twitter at Reef Breland. Follow Indie News on Twitter at Kid Indie News. And subscribe
to INN on YouTube so we can get them to 2K, please.
Yeah.
That would be helpful. Patrick, what do you have coming up? Anything going on?
7 so far. So
yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah, well, for anyone who's not familiar with me or my work, I'm a practicing criminal defense and family law attorney in Wisconsin. I run a show called Vital Dissent, dissent like a court opinion. I'm the Justin Raimondo Fellow at the Libertarian Institute. I have pieces run in antiwar.com and at the Institute. And So my show, I talk about geopolitics and dark history and things like that. So I came out with a documentary on Oppenheimer and these crazy human experiments that the Manhattan Project did. I'm still working on part 2. I wish it would have come out 2 months ago, but I had a really crazy busy fall. But anyways, vitaldissent.com, libertarianinstitute.org. Nice to meet you, Reef, by the way.
Yeah, and thanks for coming. Thanks for doing this, for joining us. As Reef said, I have Jesse on the show tomorrow. He's going to play 2 pieces from his brand new album. Go to jessejet.bandcamp.com to check it out prior to that. And then he'll be on tomorrow. We're going to play 2 of those pieces. And then, Monday through Friday, TNT Radio, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's a good time over there. I get to talk to some really cool people. It's a good time. Other than that, just the Assange stuff. Please go make phone calls, send emails, write tweets, share tweets, help us get over the algorithm, just whatever you can do. We have, I don't even know how many days. I need to make a countdown, but the court dates are February 20th and 21st.
34.
Yeah, so February 20th and 21st in London. If you are in London or anywhere near London and you can get to the courthouse on February 20th and 21st, please do. We need as many bodies out there as humanly possible to send a message. There's going to be events taking place all across the globe. Go follow Candles for Assange. It's the number 4. Alex Hills does a great job. She kind of compiles all of the global events and then publishes them out from one location, so it's easier for people to find stuff that's taking place near them. So if you can't find an event near you, be an event near you. That's what I always say. Poster board, Sharpie, sidewalk, instant protest. So that's all you need. Go check out Paula's thread with the postcards and all of that stuff, so you can download those and print those for yourself. I know Halo's got a trifle. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do. If you want information about how to get involved, the best way that you can help, just contact me. I'm always happy to help people with that. Other than that, I don't know when the next one of these will be. Everybody at INN and Antiwar is very busy, which is great. Obviously, it's just hard to schedule sometimes. So we'll try to get some people together and get one out to you guys in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. Other than that, I think we're good. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.